You know that feeling when you're reading something and the words just pop? They just jump right off the page. And you wonder, wow, how did they do that? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not some kind of magic. It's a skill, and it's built with some really powerful tools. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the absolute best.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Because great writing doesn't just list facts. It pulls you right in. It makes you see things, feel things, experience the story as if you're actually there. And that's exactly the power we're going to tap into.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? What is the secret technique that can turn a totally normal sentence into this vivid movie playing in your head? All right, let's investigate. And here it is, the simile. Now, it might sound a little fancy, a little academic, but trust me, it is one of the easiest and most fun tools any writer has in their toolkit. This is that secret ingredient that makes good writing great. So, how do we find these things? How do you spot a simile out in the wild? Well, it all comes down to just two little magic words. They're like a giant flashing sign. And here they are. Like and as. That's it. Think of these words as the magic connectors. Anytime you see one of these being used to compare two different things, ding, 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 you've almost certainly found a simile. Okay, so here's the official breakdown. A simile takes two totally different things and links them together to show you something they have in common. And the key, the absolute rule, is that it always uses like or as to build that bridge.
So the whole idea is pretty simple when you get down to it. You're comparing two things that aren't alike at all to create a new way of seeing them. Look at this example. The sun is like a ball. Obviously, the sun isn't actually a rubber ball, right? But that comparison instantly makes you think of its shape, its roundness. That little imaginative link is what makes the description so much more powerful.
Now, let's talk about how this fits into one of the golden rules of writing. Show, don't tell. This is where similes really start to shine. Just look at the difference here. The dog was very fast. Okay, that's a fact. It tells you something. It's fine. But the dog ran like the wind? Whoa, now that shows you. You can almost feel the breeze, see the blur of fur. It paints a picture in your mind instantly. And it's the same exact thing here. He eats a lot. Sure, I get it, but it's kind of forgettable. Now, he eats like a horse. That creates an immediate, vivid, and kind of funny image, right? The comparison does all the heavy lifting for you. This is a fantastic example of how similes can express feelings. The news was shocking just tells me how you felt, but saying, the news hit me like a ton of bricks, now I can feel the weight of it, the sudden impact, the force of that shock. See? It's a whole different level of communication.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this is great for poets and novelists, but what about me? Well, the truth is, similes are everywhere. I guarantee you use them every single day, probably without even noticing.
I mean, just look at this list. Busy as a bee, sleep like a log, fit like a glove. We hear these and say these all the time. They're basically cultural shortcuts because the comparison is so clear and common. Now, while these are great for talking, the best writers often try to invent fresh, new comparisons to really grab your attention. And of course, similes are all over pop culture. This line is one of the most famous in movie history. But have you ever stopped to think about why? It's a perfect simile. It takes this huge, complicated, unpredictable idea, life, and compares it to something so simple and relatable, not knowing what you're going to get when you pick a chocolate. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we know what they are, we know why they're so powerful, we know where to find them. Now it's time for the really fun part. Let's walk through how you can start making your own. It's really just a simple 3-step recipe. First, pick something you want to describe. Let's say a loud noise. Step 2, just brainstorm other things that have that same quality, things that are also loud. Thunder, a lion's roar, a rock concert. And third, you just connect them with our magic words. The noise was like a lion's roar, or the noise was as loud as thunder. See? It's that easy. All right, you've got the basics down. You're ready to level up. To really become a master of this, you need to understand the difference between a simile and its very close cousin, the metaphor. Okay, look really closely at these two sentences. The difference is tiny, just one little word, but it's a huge deal. The simile says the classroom was like a zoo. It's just a comparison. The metaphor, though, it makes a much bolder statement. It says the classroom was a zoo. It's not just similar to a zoo. In that moment, it is that chaotic thing. So let's boil it down. A simile says something is like something else, and it always uses those signal words like or as. A metaphor goes a step further and says something is something else, a direct statement, no like or as needed. Knowing this gives you so much more creative control.
And really, that's the bottom line here. It doesn't matter if you're writing a big report for work, a short story, or just sending an email to a friend. Similes are an amazing tool. They add color, they add emotion, they add clarity. They just make your words more memorable and give them that extra spark.
So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. The next time you sit down to write anything, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what is this like? Find a cool comparison, plug in that like or as, and just watch your writing come to life. Your writing is like a blank canvas. So what kind of picture are you going to paint?